Ludwig got sued by Nintendo. I'll take 10,000 for things that didn't happen. Thank you very much.
Right there, officer. That's him. The one who looks like he shouldn't be within 50 feet of a school zone. Hi, I'm Ludwig, and I got sued.
He knows, but that's not a joke. I think that's serious because he's German and he has a mustache. That's way too many red flags, and I'm not even joking.
By Nintendo. It actually happened a few months ago, but I feel like it's worth bringing up now because of some huge drama and updates that have come out of the Smash scene. And even if you're the most casual of Smash fans, it's worth knowing about because this could change Smash as we know it.
Okay.
Or it couldn't. But
Probably
let's get into
not.
that in a little bit. First, back to me getting sued. It was technically a notice of infringement of intellectual property. And I'd show
A notice of infringement. I'm not a lawyer. I don't remember this. Exactly what this means, but yeah, this is not a lawsuit. I don't remember what a notice of infringement was, but it's not a lawsuit.
you the paperwork and verify it, but they did post my address in like ink in the background of every single piece of paper in this notice of infringement. So I can't actually show you. But to my very, very small understanding, I am a YouTuber after all, it's basically like a baby cease and desist. Because rather than saying, hey, you must stop and
I guess that's correct. I don't remember.
never do this, they were like, hey, you must stop and then follow our rules. You cannot use your rules. Now, what was the big rule difference? Well, basically comes down to modifying the game. If you don't know, I ran an event this past few months this year called the Ludwig Ogren Championship Series. It was a pretty damn big Smash invitation.
I can't. This is why I love the YouTubers and Twitchers from this part of the YouTube scene. Because Ludwig is from a part of YouTube that's and Twitch that's very interesting. Their main thing is they want to be really loved by their audience, so they always are going to be like, oh, us normal people, ignore the fact that I'm a multi-millionaire with no issues whatsoever and problems in my life. And that looks like, I have no idea, but that's some kind of machine that probably costs 20k. Okay? Ignore all of that. I'm just your average dude. Like, look at this. This is what they constantly do. My peanut YouTube brain doesn't... Bro, he probably has a legal team that is literally on monthly payroll because it's less expensive than just get legal counseling every time that he wants it. Okay, this guy probably has a monthly paid legal team to check up all of this stuff, and he's saying, "Oh, my YouTube brain doesn't handle it." They try so hard to be relatable, the normal people, and then you have this happen. Relatable, my ass. The bro literally called a tournament by his name, and I think I'm 99.9% sure this was his surname, Agren or whatever. Bro, I'm so relatable and down to ground. Join my tournament that I didn't call the Pussy Smash Bros movement or anything cool like that. No, join my tournament. It's called by my name, obviously, because I'm so down. I am just so down with the average person. I just call tournaments by my name and surname because I want to recognize. I love this part of YouTube because they constantly just do this without fail. I'm so relatable. Now buy my thing that literally has my name, face, surname, and Pledge of Alliance too. It's just great.
With an open qualifier.
It never gets old.
And up to this point, some context, there is a stage in competitive Smash Melee called Pokemon Stadium. This is what it looks like.
Okay, I know that.
And in it has different transformations, right? It can look like this with a couple of big old platforms. I did not know that. It can look like this with a big old windmill you can stand on. And over the past couple years, people figured out they could modify it and freeze it. So it basically always looks like this. And it was basically less luck involved because some stages and transformations are good for other characters and not so good for other characters.
Makes sense, yes.
And Nintendo was like, hey, we don't like when you modify our game. Please do not modify our game. So I didn't. I didn't do that. And instead, we left the transformations on. We kept it vanilla Melee. And it actually, you might be thinking to yourselves, this shouldn't matter. It's like such a small thing. It actually determined the winner of my entire tournament. because Leffen was losing very badly to Cody Schwab. He had 110%. Cody had 14%. The transformation came up. Leffen,
aren't they both just playing Fox? This character's name was Fox, right?
Using the back wall, got a huge combo. Ended up beating Cody. Ended up winning the tournament against him. So it literally determined the winner. Not that.
Bruh, dude, you're taking away so hard from the people right here. Yeah, it popped up, but one person instantaneously was good enough to take the advantage of the situation he was in, and the other person was like, "I'm just gonna pretend it's not there." Dude, you're taking away from the guy's skill. Or maybe something. Wait, or maybe that just accidentally happened at the same time.
Using the back wall, got a huge combo.
Okay, let's see.
Using the back wall, got a huge combo.
Also, you need to account for these. Calling this just luck, I feel that just degenerates the Smash community. Oh, he just won because it's luck. The stage wasn't. Oh, dude. Wow.
Ended up beating Cody, ended up winning the tournament against Zayn. So it literally determined the winner. Not that that's a huge problem, because it was honestly really hyped to watch, but when there was a poll done in a Reddit afterwards, people were like, we want it frozen. We can't have it frozen, kiddos. It's not how it damn works, because Nintendo doesn't want their game modified. And I'm allowed to talk about this now because they have been very forthright about all the things you must follow if you want to run a Smash event. In fact, they dropped a guideline.
Yeah. I don't know anything about this, but as much as I know about Nintendo, yeah, they're gonna very much tell you what is a yes, what is a no.
Community tournament guideline for every region. It first started with like Japan, then they dropped one for EU, and then they dropped one for America and Australia. And we're gonna go through this guideline today because a lot of people were reacting, in part overreacting to this guideline, thinking this could be the end of Smash tournaments as we know it. So let's take a look at these guidelines, which include in part that idea of not modifying the game, but then many, many more interesting.
What is that box though? Cheetos? Is it an old? This is an old-timey thing. Is it just full of Cheetos?
Things. So there's basically two things you have to think about here. The first one is community tournaments, which is basically like, hey, I want to run a tournament at my college or with my friends or in my local community. And if you do that...
By the way, if you think Nintendo won't use their lawyers if they find out you're running a community tournament for 5 people, guess again. Guess again.
You're supposed to do these things. Like, you can only have a tournament up to 200 participants in person, 300 online. You
know why I love Nintendo? Because Nintendo is proving... is literally proving that it doesn't matter how good or bad a company is, as long as the games are good, people are not gonna care. Again, you have on one side your companies like Blizzard and Blizzard again, and then more Blizzard, and everything they make for the past 20 years has been pretty much dog shit, right? You know, their glory days ended pretty much after Wrath of the Lich King. Okay. Everything they have made past that point has been pretty lukewarm piss, okay? And people hate it, but they still buy their products because they once, keyword here is, love that company because it was a huge part of their childhood. Also, Bethesda is obviously there, Rockstar Games, you know, all the classic AAA developers. And then you have, on the flip side, Nintendo. A company that pretty much everyone hates because they do this sort of crap constantly and seemingly try to ruin everything ever that they ever touch in these ways. And yet, people don't care and they still love their games. And they're successful, even though everyone blatantly hates Nintendo for one reason or another and have never really loved them. It's just the games making it good. It's crazy.
Aren't allowed to collect more than $20 per person for like a tournament fee. You can't have a prize pool of more than $5K. Just outright, you just can't do that. You can't make more than $10,000 if you're a tournament organizer. I don't agree with all these outright. I don't think that, for example, a tournament organizer should necessarily only make 10K. I would feel fine if my local tournament organizer was able to make a full-time living and then provide better tournaments because they don't have to do a job and then a side hustle that's a passion thing where they're not allowed to actually make money. I feel like that's a little weird.
I mean, that's a fine thing to want. Our mouse is just connected. Look at this. You could put also your mouse on top, and this would be like almost the beginning of the Centipede movie. Okay? Let's see. So, yeah, but if they're making a lot of money, then it's going to probably happen with what happens with everything, like this. The tournament creators just threw in it because they want more money. They're increasing expenses, and then they're not getting enough money, and they just collapse.
There's also a couple of weird specific rules that they threw in. Like they went into this very, interesting rant about how you're allowed to technically have more than 200 people at a tournament if you do them in blocks, and the blocks happen on different days. And then they also go into details about if you want to run a charity event at a high school. So a lot of specificities, but a lot of people are probably wondering, well, Ludwig, what happens if I want to run a huge event? Or if one of my favorite tournament organizers wants to continue to run their huge 1,000-person events with tens of thousands of dollars in prize pool, is that able to happen?
No.
Or can it only be 200 people? If 201 come along, is Nintendo going to come and shoot them in the head?
Probably.
No, not necessarily, at least. The way it looks right now is that if you want to run a large event, you must get permission from Nintendo, right? You must get a license.
I mean, that was the obvious thing. Nintendo's just going to say yes or no. Because Nintendo is a Japanese company. People don't understand Japanese companies outside of essentially, anime! Anime, good! Yeah, people don't understand this. Like, Japanese companies are the companies that actually have their CEOs take a pay cut so people under them don't get fucked in some kind of recession type of situation, okay? Imagine a situation where Bobby Kotick ever takes a pay cut so anyone under him doesn't have to suffer. Yeah, that's never happening. That is impossible. The heat death of the universe is happening before Bobby Kotick ever takes a pay cut, right? But in Japan, that's normal. And these things are normal to them because they care about their brand. They don't want any risks of their brand being sullied by someone outside. They don't want to take they don't want to see their brand being destroyed by some kind of rando greed. That's why they're doing all of this. They want their products to be as good as they intended for what they intended. This is why they do these type of things. And it's not even that uncommon in Japan.
Submit an application for license to use Nintendo games at your tournament. And if you get a license, then you are conceivably allowed to break most of the rules.
Yes. And essentially, by the way, I have never heard about this, but my speculation is if you are asking Nintendo to provide a license for some kind of tournament, they're going to actually ask you pretty much the whole rundown of the tournament. Does it fit their standards or what they want it to change? So it doesn't tarnish their game's reputation or anything like that. Again, that's the whole gist. This makes perfect sense.
Player entry rule, the prize pool rule, and maybe the how much you make rule. I'm not really sure about that one. It doesn't really affect me per se because I lose so much damn money running Smash events anyway. And they might not accept your event if you break these. These are kind of like the hard and fast rules, the Bill of Rights, if you will, the ones that just absolutely cannot be violated by Nintendo. They won't approve an event if you do any of these. If you violate laws, infringe IP, fake that you have a license, and then interestingly here.
So this essentially means you can't sell souvenirs, pretty much. By the way, this is what number 2 pretty much means. If you're selling random merch, you're violating this thing. So yeah, that's big. That's funny.
Involve any cheating, unauthorized access, modification of the game itself, aka why they came for me, why they sent me that baby cease and desist. And then there's some vague things here, like if you use game.
I mean, to be honest, why did they send him a baby cease and desist? A cease and desist letter is also pretty much just nothing, honestly. I can send cease and desist letters for whoever. A cease and desist just means, hey, if you don't stop doing this, we will sue you. But you still have the option of not following up on the cease and desist letter.
In consoles, accessories, and software not licensed by Nintendo. So I don't know if you have a Mad Catz controller, are they going to come kick you in the throat? I don't know. That seems like really hard to regulate by Nintendo. And there's an interesting conversation to be had about the box as well. Which
if they see if someone reviews the video and they see you breaking that and using the wrong thing, yeah, they're probably gonna come for you again. They're not messing around with this. It is kind of crazy. But when you actually understand how the Japanese do these sort of things in some companies, you actually do understand the logic behind it. If you don't, this seems completely crazy and completely out of this world to you. But, it does make sense when you understand the reasoning behind all of it.
A whole nother can of worms I don't need to get into. But if you happen to follow all of these, and you send in your request.
And by the way, Nintendo is fully aware that investors look at this and they have bad thoughts about Nintendo. But you need to understand, Japan doesn't exactly give a shit about you being there in America and saying, oh, I don't like how Nintendo's doing things. Bruh, they could not care less about your dog opinion.
Nintendo to authorize your event, and conceivably you should be able to run an event of really any size. At least that's the idea as it seems. And Nintendo, that's at least what it seems, does have the right to cancel anything. Right?
I wonder if they even actually take any cut of the money, because there's a good chance that they don't. Even if you need to get a license by them to do an event, there's a chance. I think there's a good chance that you don't actually even have to pay them anything for that, which would be crazy.
You can cancel any community tournament if there's 307 people instead of the 200 people allowed, or they could conceivably cancel any big event or not give them a license if they do not see fit.
Yep.
And to understand this all, it is basically Nintendo trying to capture back control of their IP. And I think it's mostly for Smash Ultimate. In fact, if you look at the Japanese guidelines, they don't even mention Melee in it, the much older game that I care a little more about because it's a game I came from. But in the North American one, they do, because they kind of have to, because we forced their hand, because we've kept their game alive for much longer than I think they would have liked to.
Also, probably. That's probably true to a degree.
Nintendo, they've seemed pretty open.
Since they don't want to make it into abandonware, which is a term which I don't fully understand, but it's correct here, I think. If it is made, Nintendo is not gonna just allow their game to become abandonware and then be a smidgen of shame on all of their company or whatever because stuff happened. Yeah, that's not what they want to do.
To letting us run events, and they said that they would try to give permission for events to be run within a reasonable time frame, like 1 to 2 months. And that's the big concern here, because none of these guidelines truly matter. Most locals will be too small for Nintendo to know or care or be able to keep up with anyway. So if you have 205 people instead of 200, they're not going to give a rat's ass. And then the big events, they have to get permission from Nintendo. And so as long as they give the permission, it's fine. Yeah, we can't have Frozen Pokemon Stadium, but I don't think that is the worst thing in the world if we're able to continue running events for the next 10 or 20 years or so. And as far as that question, how quickly will Nintendo actually be giving out these licenses, we have a little bit of an idea because these have already rolled out in Japan. The applications to get your event license has already rolled out in Japan, and it's happened really fast. A Japanese Hokkaido local submitted their form in the Nintendo guidelines, and it got accepted in 1 day. And then one of the largest events in...
Because they don't give a shit about the Western audience. That's the thing. How... you need to be new to gaming to not actually know this. The West complains about the Japanese game having X or Y, or Japanese anime not having X or Y. Japan just blatantly comes out and says, "Fuck you! Not made for you! Fuck you!" That's it. That's literally what they do. They have done it countless times already, and they're probably going to continue doing this in the future. This all makes perfect sense if you understand how Japanese people think about business in a lot of cases. Because keep in mind, every country deals with business in a slightly different way. The easiest school example that you can ever get, okay? Some countries are gonna look at you badly and not strike deals with you because you missed the meeting. So some countries want you to appear in the meeting 10 minutes before because that's the actual start of the meeting. It's crazy, and Japan just embodies these kind of ideals. That's
in
it.
Japan, Sumabato applied and they got accepted for 10 events. The next 10 events are totally fine to be run. So it seems as though Nintendo's actually doing a good job of keeping up, giving licenses for their events, at least in the Japanese scene. Hopefully they follow suit in the North American scene, the European scene, the Australian scene, or wherever people want to play Smash around the world.
They won't.
And that's basically it. That's the update. So
they could maybe.
As long as they actually keep up with their applications and they approve them.
Yeah,
things should be good. But we'll see. And I'll let you guys know if they're like, hey, Ludwig, we don't like that you're putting up a prize pool of $50K. Because that's where I'd be like, well, what do you mean, man? These people are broke. They need some money. I don't mind doing it. I have a sponsor to cover it. Why not? That's where I feel like it would be crossing the line. And I'll leave it off with a little bit of a quote from the GOAT, Mango.
Did not give a fuck about anything. Okay. Well, that's, I guess, the video. Pretty funny. Did he get sued? No. That was... If anyone of you thought that that's not a clickbait title, I don't even know what. Okay, and well, the Smash thing is kind of hilarious. Again, this is just purely people from the West not understanding a couple of different things that culturally happen in Japan differently. Okay, that's it. All of this makes sense if you understand it, and none of it makes sense if you don't understand that it's a different way of running things. I wonder how much do you need to actually pay to get a license? You probably need to pay some, but it's most likely just a tributary cost. It's not actually like, oh, you need to give us 50% of the tournament, blah, 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 blah. No, it's probably like some kind of... It's probably getting that license is some kind of stable, flat fee that's completely almost irrelevant to everyone. Anyway, this was Quizzer said, thanks for watching, subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.